It's the Empowered by LifeScape special, sponsored by Salmons Financial.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Vanessa Gomez. We are here today to share the story of LifeScape. It's an organization that empowers people across our region living with disabilities. In this Empowered by LifeScape special, presented by Salmons Financial, we'll look at some of LifeScape's programs, as well as the stories of those whose lives they've touched for the better. Like the Go Baby Go program, which is helping young kids with mobility issues race past barriers.
The 2 weeks that we spent here, she was able to catch up with 2 months lost.
And the story of baby Breck, who was underweight and having trouble eating until LifeScape therapists stepped in.
He started out only being able to just say an ah sound, and now he is speaking in some words and phrases.
Relearning how to talk, how LifeScape helped one Iowa youngster regain the gift of speech after it was taken away by a stroke. As part of this special broadcast, two of LifeScape's partners, Salmons Financial and First Premier Bank and Bank Card, are matching all donations made over the next half hour. And giving has never been easier. Just text GIVE LS, all one word, to 72727. That number will be on the bottom of the screen throughout the show. You can either make a one-time gift or become a monthly contributor. Before we get into some of the empowering stories coming out of LifeScape, we can't ignore the fact that our world is being impacted by COVID-19, and LifeScape is no exception. Some of the services you will hear about are actually shut down right now to help slow the spread of the disease, like adult day services. Steve Watkins, the CEO of LifeScape, says the staff works with individuals who have compromised immunity or medically complex needs, so they're considered high risk when it comes to this virus. That's why steps were taken to help protect them, like a lockdown across the organization's 38 homes in Sioux Falls and 17 locations for corporate. This means no visitors are allowed. The extra cleaning practices and social distancing are also helping flatten the curve.
It's critical for us to be able to keep that flat curve down, so particularly, the people we're trying to serve have the ability to get the emergency care that they need. And the better care that they get, the better the outcome, the less, chances of death.
Watkins says LifeScape serves 500 adults and 120 children on top of outpatient services, which adds 2,000 more kids. Now to LifeScape's examples of empowerment. A Sioux Falls boy had to have half of his leg amputated, but he is not letting it limit him on what he can do. LifeScape is helping him reach his full potential. Wyden Klusman is paying attention to the words on the wall at 605 Ninja.
The foot that he has now allows him to do anything that he wants to do. It doesn't hold him back at all.
Julie Klusman and her husband adopted Wyden after he came to the U.S. from Haiti on a medical visa. He had a club foot that needed to be repaired. Doctors couldn't repair it though, so they had to amputate below his knee. He was 5 years old at the time.
But I feel like he has exceeded all expectations for his activity level and the things that he is able to accomplish in his life.
Wyden is now 11 years old and has worked with Mark Swanstrom the past several years at LifeScape's Rehabilitation Medical Supply. He helps fit Wyden's prosthesis and answers questions, even in emergencies.
He was working so hard on some of his obstacles and landed on it funny and just snapped it right in half. Mark has been a huge blessing for all of us, just knowing that we have somebody we can call and that he will get back to us and he will help get things fixed.
Julie says it's great living so close to LifeScape to get the care Wyden needs.
For us, it's just nice to be able to pop on over there if we have a question or something fixed or tightened. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of adjusting a screw or making something higher or lower, which is a pretty easy thing to do.
Swanstrom says many advancements have been made to prosthetics over the past 15 years. So there are more options now.
We do try really hard here to try to give the patients the best outcome that they possibly can have.
Wyden doesn't let his prosthesis limit him. He's been training at 605 Ninja Academy for more than a year.
I might not have a leg, but that doesn't mean I have a disability. I still have a prosthetic leg, so I can still do what people with normal legs can still do.
And showing them he can sometimes do it better. Wyden's mom said he gets new prosthetics about every year. And remember, you can help kids like Wyden by donating to LifeScape. Just text GIVE-LS, all one word, to 72727. The goal of LifeScape in Sioux Falls is to empower children and adults with disabilities. That can be through different forms of therapy or events in the organization. A program the foundation just adopted in the last 6 months is helping kids living with mobility disabilities. This 2.5-year-old is known for breaking down barriers.
Thomas was born premature at 24 weeks, so he had a few hiccups in the road there, which causes some of his disabilities and mobility.
But the staff at LifeScape hopes to eliminate some of those disabilities with the Go Baby Go program.
It modifies ride-on toy cars right off the shelf for children with mobility challenges.
This program was created by a doctor at the University of Delaware. LifeScape adopted a chapter locally and is able to help kids like Thomas.
He can't ride a trike, he can't ride a bike. He's not sitting or standing by himself either.
There really aren't powered wheelchairs that are available for kiddos this young.
Rebecca was Thomas's form of transportation.
So we're able to make structural modifications to allow the child to sit safely in the car, as well as electrical modifications where they can use an easy switch to access it.
Modifications like pool noodles to help Thomas sit up straight, and a red button to make the car accelerate instead of a pedal.
It really gives them the opportunity to explore. Not only does it help with their motor development, but with their cognitive development, their social development, and all of these other really great skills.
Because families get to take the Go Baby Go cars home with them after they're built. Kids are encouraged to drive the car around the house, in the yard, and in their community.
It gives them independence. They're allowed to explore their environment in a new way that they're not used to. Allows them to interact with their peers. And the end result is the kids just get to be kids.
Other kids have taken them to preschool settings also, where they can just go and be the envy of their class instead of the kid who can't do what the other kids do. Now they're the kid with the super cool ride-on car that everyone wants to be with.
Just another barrier Thomas is knocking down among his peers, while gaining his freedom one push at a time. Any family can apply to get a Go Baby Go car at no cost to them. It costs $500 to build and modify one. LifeScape staff hopes to build as many as possible as long as there is funding and volunteers. And at this first build last year, students and staff from Dakota State University helped. This was the start of a partnership between LifeScape and DSU's ADAPT Lab.
We started snowballing just ideas of what are some things that would be really useful that DSU can bring to the table. And of course, things like voice control are a little bit further out, but we certainly have the student coders who can do this kind of thing.
At the end of the day, therapists hope these modified cars teach kids with disabilities a foundational skill. As the kids get older, they might be able to move into a power wheelchair. Another partnership recently started was between USD and LifeScape. LifeScape's future home for their hospital, school, and rehabilitation center will be coming to the USD Discovery District. Miranda Page explains what this $62 million project will mean for both organizations.
And I'm so excited to see where we can go in the next century with great partners like USD.
LifeScape intends to lease over 31 acres of land from USD's Discovery District in Sioux Falls. The campus will include a future hospital, school, and rehabilitation center.
To be able to have the state-of-the-art facility with state-of-the-art technology.
It truly is a win-win.
The goal is to create a destination for those with disabilities to receive services. Right now, they have a wait list of up to 2 years. So staff are looking forward to the move.
To not have to be always worried about space or not accepting kids into our program because we don't have space is just going to be extremely impactful for those families.
The collaboration will also help with workforce development.
Oh, you did it. We have a huge shortage of therapists right now, both from autism, speech, physical, occupational, etc.
There will soon be more hands-on experience for students going into these future careers, as LifeScape is right around the corner from where students are learning. With both organizations now in one place, they'll work together on their goal of making a big impact on the lives of South Dakotans living with disabilities.
And that was Miranda Page reporting for us. The CEO of LifeScape says partnerships like this with USD and Dakota State University are invaluable. I had the chance to sit down with Steve Watkins to talk more about these collaborations and others with schools.
We're pretty excited because with USD, that gives us an opportunity, and particularly in the Discovery District, as that district grows and the new sciences, the biosciences and different things like that come to be, we want to be part of that. You know, we have a ton of data on individuals, you know, with autism and different things like that, and we can help them in terms of research. Look at genetics possibly, actually try to really advance the level of care that we give to these individuals. And again, we want to become a destination for people who have these varied needs, and because we're the experts. And you really can't become the expert unless you're into research, unless you're into technology, and those opportunities really come together on the Discovery District. And ADAPT Lab is adaptive technology for people with disabilities, and those individuals are looking to create new technologies that allow people with disabilities to really manage their life. And so if you can imagine, we talked about the eye gaze. Well, that eye gaze can create a computer voice generation that can talk to Alexa. And Alexa can now play the music, can control the temperature, can turn the lights off, can do a lot of things that the individual may be impaired to do, and being able to live more independently, which is a huge goal of anybody. And it gives us the chance to start heading down that path. So as we work with their PhDs on technology they may be thinking about, we become the beta test for those kinds of technologies in partnership with them, in partnership with SDSU and some of their engineers. We're working with bracing, trying to prevent self-harm. So when a child triggers, one of the reactions might be self-harm. And we're developing a brace that would stop that. Meanwhile, the brace has sensors in it that can identify maybe the noise levels are going up, and that might be a trigger, so we'll try to de-escalate that. Maybe the heart rate's kicking in, so clearly something has antagonized the individual. Can we de-escalate it before it actually happens? Part of the requirement for therapists is that they have to have so much supervised time. Well, where would they go get that time for autism? Where would they get that time for eating disorders, constipation disorders, those kinds of things? Well, we're the specialist in the state for those. And so as those individuals complete their curriculum, they have to have that time in the field. Our agreement with these secondary ed is that they would be able to do that in LifeScape. Our hope is that, you know, a lot of them would like to stay, and effectively we create our own workforce with that collaboration that we have.
Amazing innovation coming out of those universities. Several students are getting ready to graduate in May from LifeScape's specialty school. 9 students graduated in 2019. We take a look back on the big milestone for one student and her parents.
It's a huge milestone, which is awesome.
John Meyer and Laura Turnbow are so proud of their daughter, Erica.
Today means everything to me. She's graduating, which means that is something that she wanted, and we knew she could do it.
Erica started attending LifeScape at the age of 12. Laura says she's achieved so much since attending school there.
So when we first came, she was very limited to what you could understand her saying. And now, I mean, I'm so proud of her because it's very hard, but if you listen carefully, you can understand everything that she's saying.
Is that you?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
Cooking.
Each graduate had their own table set up to show off some of their accomplishments for family, friends, and LifeScape staff. Erica had quite a few exciting moments to talk about.
Gold, that dude.
A gold medal?
Yeah.
What are those from?
Wait.
She's come out of a shell because she was so embarrassed and shy. And now I just see total blossom, you know, with the speech and her talking and making friends.
They say that you can look forward to it, but until, you know, when it finally gets here and, you know, it's reality, it's an awesome thing. She's growing into a beautiful young lady.
And they're excited for what's ahead.
You know, her mom and I are both very proud. So, you know, it's kind of an emotional day, but, you know, it's our daughter and, you know, who wouldn't be?
Erica works at Fringe Salon in Sioux Falls, which is one of her favorite things. 4 people are expected to graduate this May from the specialty school. And remember, you can help empower others like Erica by donating to LifeScape. Just text GIVE-LS, all one word, to 72727. Time for a quick break. We'll have more empowering LifeScape stories when we come back.
Dakota News Now presents the Empowered by LifeScape special. Sponsored by Salmons Financial.
Welcome back to our Empowered by LifeScape special presented by Salmons Financial. An 11-year-old boy is recovering after he suffered a stroke the end of March last year. Emmett spent a lot of time rehabilitating at LifeScape. We caught up with him right as he left to go home from LifeScape last June.
You're a chicken. This is part of the reason why John and Crystal Keel appreciate the services LifeScape has provided for their son, Emmett.
There's a lot of caring and comfort and understanding. They know that Emmett's just a kid. We're going to work hard, but we're still going to have fun.
Emmett spent more than 55 days at LifeScape, working with 3 different therapists twice a day.
So I'm working on standing balance and maintaining his balance while he's doing a task, which is really functional for things like brushing his teeth, combing his hair, getting ready for school. Big step.
Before LifeScape, he spent more than 10 days in the hospital. His parents rushed him to the ER in Orange City, Iowa on March 27th.
He just started yelling and got stiff as a board.
That was probably the hardest part. It really was. It was not knowing.
He was transferred to Sioux Falls, where doctors determined he had a stroke.
It was very scary. And, you know, we didn't know what was going on. It was a relief to have a diagnosis.
Dear, good job.
But their lives changed completely.
So we're kind of that in between from leaving the hospital to going home and helping families get their homes ready, what they need to have prepared for taking their child home again.
Once he was medically stable, Emmett went to LifeScape to work with an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, and a speech therapist.
Dirty.
Dirty?
He has to relearn how to walk, talk, and be independent.
He started out only being able to just say an ah sound, and now he is speaking in some words and phrases.
The goal for Emmett is to get his full speech back.
Cherry, that was a really good one.
But doctors don't know how much permanent damage he has since every stroke is different.
Being that he's made this much progress with such a severe stroke, you know, at 2.5 months, we're really hopeful to what he will look like at the 1-year mark.
We really don't know for sure what's going to happen.
Crystal and John were able to take turns and stay with Emmett while he was rehabbing at LifeScape in Sioux Falls. Now, he's home.
So it's just a transition. We're going to have to learn a new life of normalcy and what that is. And that it could be worrisome, but at the same time, it's comforting.
Comforting because Emmett will be back with his family on the farm, doing what he's trying to do the entire time through this healing process.
You surrender?
Be a kid.
Emmett's parents say doctors don't know why Emmett had the stroke. The type he suffered from usually comes from blunt force to the head, like a baseball or whiplash in an accident. But Emmett did not experience something like that. He had his stroke on March 27th last year, and his birthday is on the 31st. So his family took a trip to Legoland in California recently to commemorate both. His parents say he is continuing to make improvements with therapies 3 times a week in Orange City, Iowa. He's now able to take 50 steps independently and can hold a conversation just at a slower pace. We've really narrowed in on just a few programs so far that LifeScape offers, but there's a wide variety kids and adults can benefit from. Let's continue my conversation with the CEO of the nonprofit to hear more about the services offered across the state.
We have 13 different lines of service, and if you think about it more in terms of a continuum of a life, we start out in our specialty school. We have probably 8 to 10 babies any given day in the specialty hospital. And in that specialty hospital, we deal with traumatic brain injury. We deal with preemies, individuals that once they come out of the hospital or the ICU might need more care than their mom or dad could give them at home, have tracheotomies, those kinds of different things. Medically complex kids, things like that. So if you start on that end of it and then you go all the way to our adult home services, where an older individual may have even disabilities, maybe some behavioral issues, and then on top of that now developing dementia. And so pretty much anything in between that deals with a disability, traumatic brain injury, different behavioral issues, medically complex issues, it ends up being quite a variety of resources available to the community.
How big of a need would you say is there for LifeScape?
It's interesting because we're now in that point where the facilities, we've kind of expanded into all the facilities to the point where we're now in waiting lines. So our Autism Child Development Center, which only opened up last July, really got its feet on the ground in July. We opened up and probably by September we were over 100% capacity. We have over 64 families right now waiting for assistance with autism.
So something like this special that we're doing, how important are these funds?
These funds become really unique in that they come together, and then whether it's a support provider, one of our staff that identify a need, or the actual individual that's looking for a particular need, maybe the family comes in and has identified it. So it might go to an individual who needs communication devices, so they're limited in their mobility and their ability to speak. Might be an eye gaze technology. They use their eyes like a mouse, and they're able to communicate through that technology. Maybe they're in need of something like that, maybe an iPad. Their ability to interact with the community is really through that specific device, but they don't have funding for it. It might be for modifications to a wheelchair or maybe a prosthetic device that the individual needs. It might be simple things like winter coats and boots. It might be being able to help with the food bill. Being able to buy food. Most of the residential, particularly in the adults, get about $700 of support a month from the government, and that's what they use, that's what they live on. And so between rent and just paying for food, gets a little tight. So there's a broad array of different things that those funds are used for. They're critically important for those individuals to really be part of the community.
According to the CDC, 1 in 59 children is diagnosed with autism in the U.S. Experts say it's important to start therapy for children living with autism before they turn 5. LifeScape has 2 child development centers in South Dakota aimed at treating autism, but the demand is high, as you just heard Steve talk about. So the organization opened another facility within the past year.
This new facility in Sioux Falls will focus on autism therapies, including applied behavior analysis and the Early Start Denver model. The CEO of LifeScape, Steve Watkins, says getting kids with autism in therapy early is key for them to be successful.
We know if we get the child speaking before they're 5 years old, they have a wonderful chance of having a great life.
He says LifeScape realizes how vital this is, and that's why they offer free initial screenings for autism. But LifeScape's facilities across South Dakota have already been feeling the impact. There's a 9-month wait in Rapid City and a 3-month wait in Sioux Falls. for those free screenings.
With this new facility and the new staffing is try to get a little bit more in front of that, and I think that's going to be the critical role.
Brittany Martinez has a 5-year-old son with autism. She says families will have better access with a large facility like this. Owen has been in therapy since he was 2 years old for about 5 to 15 hours per week.
Him responding to his name now is really important, so we can help keep him safe. Prior to these therapies, he wouldn't look when you called his name, and now, pretty much all the time, he will look.
Good job, high five! She says Owen ran away often, but the therapy has helped with his behavior.
Now, if he continues on the path that he is, I think he will be able to function in society.
The facility also offers parent training curriculum by licensed behavior analysts. Occupational, speech, and physical therapy will be available for children as well. Free autism screenings and evaluations are available. Call 605-444-9700 to set up an appointment. A Minnesota family is grateful they found care for their daughter nearby at LifeScape rather than having to travel all the way to Florida. The 13-month-old received specialized treatment that improved her health within 2 weeks.
Can you do bite? Yay, big girl!
Breck Remus was born at 3 pounds 4 ounces and has been hospitalized several times since then.
She was in pain. She would throw up quite a bit. She never was happy.
Yay, Breck!
Doctors intubated and sedated her for 2 months because of the respiratory issues she was experiencing. Breck was diagnosed with a growth disorder called Russell-Silver syndrome in February.
Cognitively, she's there. Just the physical part and the eating is what right now is what is lacking right now.
Okay, can we do another bite?
That's when therapists at LifeScape stepped in, which was a sigh of relief for Ashley after medical professionals told her they couldn't help Breck and she wouldn't be able to do certain things.
Having someone actually want to dig in and help us was a huge thing, and talking to her on the phone the first time, I'll never forget that she was willing to help us, and it was just a joyful occasion for our family.
It was a stressful time because Breck wasn't eating or drinking anything when she first came to the nonprofit.
The 2 weeks that we spent here, she was able to catch up with 2 months lost, being intubated and sedated when she had her respiratory issues.
Has she been able to do any fruits?
LifeScape therapists were able to get Breck eating baby food and soft solids within 2 weeks of being there. She did speech and occupational therapy for about 2.5 hours, 4 to 5 times a day.
It really helps us get to know the child. They get to trust us. And from there, we get to try just a variety of strategies. And with those strategies, then we do a lot of caregiver training. Do you need another drink?
It's that expertise Justin and Ashley both appreciate.
Are they sticky?
It's like a breath of fresh air for us as a family. The stress has just decreased. Knowing that, she was behind a little bit, but we're just keep going forward, and we can't wait to see what she's going to be when she gets older.
Uh-oh, where did it go?
Because Breck has an entire team behind her rooting for her success.
Breck will continue this feeding therapy, but just not as intensely. She'll go back to LifeScape for weekly sessions for several months. And remember, you can help other kids like Breck by donating to LifeScape. Just text GIVE-LS, all one word, to 72727. LifeScape empowers adults through different programs and services on a daily basis. One day, a man had those services taken away unexpectedly. A few organizations came together to make sure he got back to LifeScape.
Be one! Larry Hone looks forward to going to LifeScape every day during the week.
He just loves it. He has interaction. His favorite thing is going swimming. They make it a very friendly environment.
Robin Berg is married to Larry's cousin. When Larry's mom passed away 2 years ago, Robin started caring for him.
He's 72 years old and enjoys life to the fullest.
That became harder for him to do when his van died. Robin and her husband were able to purchase a used one, but the transmission went out on it shortly after.
So we had to kind of scramble, didn't know what we were going to do because we'd already taken out a loan for the van itself and everything. And
the family needed more than $1,500 to fix the transmission.
And so really it was a great collaboration to have everybody come together to help Larry.
LifeScape was able to donate $500 to the family.
My husband's a firefighter on Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. And, you know, I took a chance and I gave them a call and I just said, okay, we have this situation.
Hire New, the Sioux Falls Firefighters Association, looks for people to help in the community. Every year, the association puts on the Step Up for Heroes event, which honors the firefighters who died on 9/11 while raising money to give back.
It raises money to give back to the community for people we come across or people that come to us that are looking for kind of help to get out of that downward spiral or to get that little bump to get back on track in life. So.
The association matched LifeScape's donation and the family paid the rest to get a new transmission for the van.
Feels good because I didn't want to have Larry stay at home all day, every day.
Because he's been going to LifeScape for 10 years, looking forward to the activities like bingo, fishing, or even picnics.
Thank you for joining us for our Empowered by LifeScape special presented by Salmons Financial. And to all of those who have chosen to donate, thank you.